There are two paths in front of you after 60. One is a golden cage made of memories, fears, and silence. The other, an open road that demands courage but gives you back your freedom. Most people choose the cage, not realizing the doors were never locked. Let me tell you something you might not want to hear. At this age, it's not time that's stealing your happiness. It's resignation. It's the habit of thinking there's nothing left to discover, nothing left to change. But you're just one thought away from turning your life around, and today, we're going to break down exactly how to do it. I'm not here to give you pretty words or empty promises. We're going to face those ideas that are keeping you stuck and take them apart one by one. But be warned, the final lesson might shake you more than you expect. Don't close your eyes before you get there. I'm Gabriel, and if you truly want to decide how to live these years, happy or unhappy, free or trapped, stick around until the end. This is where the difference begins. Tell me something and answer yourself with brutal honesty. How many times in the past few months have you said, "That's just life," just to justify your discouragement, your exhaustion, your lack of motivation? How many times have you given up by saying there's no point in trying something new, improving your well-being, or simply enjoying life? Have you stopped to consider that maybe, without realizing it, you're giving up too soon? This first point is about something few people will say to your face: the silent trap of resignation. After 60, after so many experiences, joys, losses, disappointments, routines, it's easy to fall into the belief that there isn't much left to change, that whatever comes next will just be an extension of what's already been. But that idea, that supposed acceptance of fate, isn't wisdom. It's a trap, an invisible cage disguised as maturity and serenity, but really made of fear. Fear of failing, fear that it's too late, fear that if you try something different and it doesn't work out, it'll confirm that you're not who you once were. Let me share something I heard years ago that I never forgot. An old monk, well into his 80s, would climb a steep path every day to tend to a small garden at the top of a hill. One day, a young man passing by asked him, "Why do you keep climbing that hill every day, putting in all that effort when you could just rest at home?" The monk stopped, smiled, and said, "Because as long as I can climb, I'm still alive. The day I decide not to anymore, even if I'm still breathing, I'll have already started to die." Do you see the difference? It's not the body that stops you. It's not your age. It's the quiet decision to stop trying. And that decision often hides behind phrases that seem harmless. What for? I'm not up for that anymore. At my age, what's the point? The real danger isn't your body getting older. The real danger is your spirit giving up before your body does. Marcus Aurelius, who wasn't in the business of sugarcoating life, wrote something that says it plain and simple: life is opinion. What you believe about your age, your potential, your present, that ends up mattering more than any outside circumstance. If you think your time is up, your mind will make sure you live like it is. If you believe all the good stuff is behind you, then all you'll see are shadows. But if you decide there are still paths worth climbing, it doesn't matter how slowly you move. What matters is that you keep going. Today, I want you to look at yourself honestly and ask, am I accepting life's changes with peace? Or am I using resignation as an excuse not to move, not to feel discomfort, not to face the possibility that I could still be happy, but it's going to take effort? Because here's the warning. If you don't face that resignation now, it won't just steal your future years, it'll rob you of the joy in this very moment. And I don't want you to let that happen. That's why this first point is a clear call. Wake up before the cage closes for good. You have more strength than you think, but the door only opens from the inside. If in the first point we talked about the silent trap of resignation, now it's time to face a burden just as heavy, though much harder to see. we've reached the second key point of this video, the invisible weight of family expectations. Many men and women over 60 and beyond go through life carrying a load they don't even recognize. It's the constant expectation to be useful, available, understanding, even when their own wants and needs have been buried deep in a drawer. We were taught that being a good parent, grandparent, sibling, or spouse means always being there, ready to help, to please, to endure without complaint. But let me ask you sincerely, how much of what you do today is truly out of conviction, and how much is out of fear of disappointing your loved ones? I know many of you listening have spent decades devoted to your family's well-being, and there's nothing wrong with caring, with wanting to give your best. But there comes a moment, and that moment is now, when if you don't let go of those imposed expectations, they'll slowly consume you. Because what started as love and responsibility can turn into a prison when you're no longer doing it by choice, but out of fear of being seen as selfish, as replaceable, as someone who's no longer useful unless they're constantly available. Stoicism teaches us that we are not enslaved by external circumstances, but by the way we perceive them. Epictetus said it plainly, you don't control the actions or expectations of others, only your own mind, your own choices. And yet many still allow the gaze of their children, the demands of their grandchildren, or the comparisons within the family to dictate every step they take. The result? Silent frustration, emotional exhaustion, a life that no longer feels like their own. I know too many older people carrying quiet resentment. They don't say it out loud, but they feel they gave everything to their children. And now those children barely call, barely visit. Still, they try to live up to the you shoulds. You should watch the grandkids, you should always be available, you should be grateful they visit at all. And in the process, they let go of their own dreams, their peace, their right to live life on their own terms. Let me tell you something you may never have heard. You were not born to live under constant judgment, not even from your own family. Your worth is not measured by how often you say yes or how much you're willing to sacrifice. God did not put you on this earth to be anyone's emotional servant. He gave you free will, and with it, the responsibility to honor your own life. The pressure of these expectations doesn't just affect your mood. Living under constant obligation causes anxiety, repressed anger, and can even take a toll on your physical health. Worst of all, it distorts your view of aging. Instead of seeing it as a time to embrace your freedom, you begin to see it as a stage where every decision must be filtered through what others expect. Today, I'm inviting you to do something radical, something you may have never tried before. Ask yourself, without fear or guilt, what would I do if I stopped worrying about what my family thinks? What would I do if I finally understood that I don't owe anyone constant availability, but I do owe it to myself to live with dignity and autonomy? It's not easy. Guilt creeps in. Habit weighs heavy. But remember, even Christ, during his time on earth, withdrew to be alone, to pray, to reflect, to avoid being swept away by the pressure of the crowds. You too have the right to your own space, your own decisions. And if someone pulls away because you choose to take care of yourself and set boundaries, then that relationship was never truly authentic. We're not here to please everyone. We're here to live with purpose, with freedom, and with a peace that only comes when we stop carrying the weight of others' expectations and start walking light, knowing that our life has value just as it is, not because of what we do for others. That's the second big step you need to take if you want to avoid a bitter old age. And if you dare to take it, the relief you'll feel will be worth far more than any fleeting approval. We've already talked about the invisible weight of family expectations and how those expectations often become a cage we accept without even questioning. But now comes the next step, the third point in this video, and I promise you this. Without it, you'll stay stuck in the same place, even if you break all the external chains. I'm talking about when your body feels like the enemy. Make it your ally instead. It's easy to fall into the trap of seeing your body as a burden, especially when age brings aches, limitations, and signs you didn't notice before. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the energy of your youth. You wake up in the morning and every movement feels like a reminder that the days are getting heavier. Many begin to think, "I'm not who I used to be," and that thought becomes a prophecy. But here's the raw truth nobody wants to tell you. Your body is not the enemy. It's not working against you. What's really weakening you is how disconnected you've become from it. Stoicism teaches us that the body is a tool, a means, not an end. Epictetus, who knew physical adversity firsthand, said we can't control whether the body ages, gets sick, or grows weaker. What we can control is how we choose to use it while we still have it. And this is where many go wrong. They wait for their body to function perfectly before paying attention to it, before moving, before taking care of it. But the body, like an old warhorse, only responds to how you treat it. It doesn't need your pity, it needs your reminder every day that it still has purpose. I want to propose something simple, yet radical. Move, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it hurts a little, even if it feels pointless at first. I'm not talking about heroic physical feats. I'm talking about small daily acts that send a signal to your mind and spirit that you're still standing. A short walk, a stretch when you wake up, choosing stairs over the elevator. Every one of those acts is a message. I haven't given up. Let me tell you about Ernesto, a 73-year-old man I met some time ago. After a complicated surgery, doctors recommended rest, which he took as a call to complete inactivity. Months passed, and with them, his spirit sank. It wasn't just his body growing weaker, his mind was starting to wither. One day, tired of feeling invisible even to himself, he made a simple decision: to walk around his house, just 10 minutes a day. What began as physical discomfort soon became a spark. His mind cleared, his mood improved, and by the end of the year, he'd recovered enough energy to tend to his garden again, something he had given up. What changed? Not the body. It was the decision to treat it as an ally, not dead weight. You can do the same. Every time you choose to move, you're choosing life. Every time you pay attention to how you eat, how you rest, how you breathe, you're telling yourself that you still deserve to feel strong, even if time has passed. This isn't about chasing eternal youth, it's about not giving up without a fight. And if these words are resonating with you, if you feel like this message is speaking directly to you, do one more thing right now: subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Here at the Stoic Garden, every reflection is designed to help you build a fuller life, no matter your age. I'd also love to know where you're watching from. Drop your country in the comments and share the phrase, "My body is my ally," so we can affirm that choice together. Don't forget, there are still several powerful lessons ahead, and I promise you, the last one could completely change the way you face each day. Stay with me, because the best is yet to come. We've already talked about how your body can become your greatest ally if you choose to treat it with respect and care. But there's something even more dangerous than a weak body, a mind trapped in a maze you don't even realize you're in. This brings us to the fourth point of this video, and it's time to face one of the most common and quiet mistakes: chosen solitude versus suffered solitude. The difference between the two is thinner than you think, and without realizing it, you might be sinking into the second while convincing yourself it's the first. Many people after 60 begin to close themselves off from the world. They do it almost unknowingly. They stop calling friends, avoid new conversations, turn down invitations, or simply stop seeking out spaces to connect. They justify it by saying, "I don't have the patience anymore. I prefer my peace and quiet. People aren't the same as they used to be." And suddenly, that solitude that once seemed like a conscious choice, a quest for peace, turns into a heavy burden, a wall that isolates them and makes them prisoners of their own silence. The problem is that suffered solitude doesn't hit all at once. It settles in little by little, disguised as tiredness, routine, self-protection. After so many years of dealing with people, disappointments, and responsibilities, you convince yourself it's better not to expect anything from anyone. Stoicism teaches us not to depend emotionally on others to maintain our serenity. But be careful not to confuse that lesson with abandoning human connection altogether. The Stoics also knew we are social beings by nature. What matters is how you manage those connections, not avoiding them entirely. The mistake many people make is turning disappointment into an excuse to shut down. "No one calls me, no one needs me, I'd rather just be alone." And here's where the real trap begins. The more you close yourself off, the fewer chances you have to find genuine connection. The more you feed the narrative that no one understands you, the more you drift away from those who just might. And that kind of loneliness doesn't just affect your mood, it eats away at your mental health, your outlook on life, and even your motivation to stay active. I've seen far too many people who once enjoyed the calm and space of solitude, but as the years passed, that calm turned into emptiness. They no longer knew how to reach out to others. Relationships had cooled, friends had drifted away, and when they finally wanted to reconnect, they couldn't find the door. Let me ask you plainly, are you building inner peace by wisely choosing your company, or are you hiding in loneliness out of fear of being hurt again, ignored, or misunderstood? That difference is crucial. There's a world of difference between being alone without losing your joy and resigning yourself to the belief that you have nothing left to offer. Don't fool yourself into thinking it's easier this way. In truth, this trap is one of the most destructive because it slowly dims your light. It steals your chance to keep sharing, learning, and being nourished by new experiences. And if you think it's too late to open yourself up to new relationships, new activities, new friendships, let me tell you this: every day you choose to isolate yourself, you're taking away your own chance to discover that you can still be seen, heard, and valued. I know many of you have been hurt by people close to you, distant children, friends who walked away without explanation. But don't let those wounds define the rest of your life. The key isn't to avoid human connection, but to learn how to build it from a place of autonomy, without unrealistic expectations, without needing approval. That's what it means to be truly stoic, to open yourself to the world without depending on it to validate your existence. So take a hard, honest look at yourself and ask, am I choosing my solitude or am I quietly suffering through it? Because only when you recognize the difference can you begin to change it. Life didn't end because your children moved on or because some friendships faded. Your ability to connect, to give, and to receive is still alive. You just have to decide what kind of solitude you want to live in. And that decision, believe me, will change the way you experience every single day. So far, we've talked about how solitude can be either chosen or suffered, and how that distinction shapes your well-being. But the next mistake we need to confront is even more deceptive, because it doesn't just affect your present, it quietly eats away at your inner peace. We've reached the fifth point in this video, the slow poison of misunderstood nostalgia. Too many people after 60 fall into the trap of constantly looking backward, idealizing a past that no longer exists, and feeling like everything happening now is just a faded shadow of what once was. We get stuck in memories that, with every replay, become a kind of drug, comforting at first but destructive over time. And do you know why this kind of nostalgia is so dangerous? Because it robs you of the present. It makes everything happening now feel dull, grey, and unworthy compared to those good old days that will never return. But here's the hard truth you need to hear. It's not the past that's holding you back. It's your emotional attachment to an idealized version of it. The problem isn't remembering. The problem is living in lack, convinced that the best already happened, and the rest of your life is just a distant echo of what used to be. And what happens when you stay in that state? You begin to disconnect from the people around you. You feel frustrated because your children aren't the same, because gatherings don't have the same spark, because your body doesn't respond the way it once did. And that frustration doesn't stay hidden. It turns into emotional dependence, constant complaints, and a quiet sadness that others can feel, even if you don't say it out loud. You stop being the man or woman who inspires respect and strength, and slowly become someone people avoid, because every conversation is laced with longing for a past that no longer exists. Want to know how to break free from that? Not with feel-good quotes or magic solutions. The only way to stop being a slave to nostalgia is to make a conscious choice. Your life is not a museum. You're not here to protect dusty glass cases full of memories. You're here to keep building. And building doesn't mean recreating what was. It means making space for new experiences, even if they're different, even if they don't look like what came before. It means accepting that the beauty of life doesn't lie in things staying the same. It lies in the fact that every stage has its own worth if you allow yourself to see it with new eyes. The Stoics spoke of time's flow as something natural, inevitable. Trying to stop it is like fighting the ocean. But you get to choose whether that ocean pulls you under or whether you learn to ride its waves. What kind of mindset does that take? Active gratitude. It's not enough to say, "Those were the good old days." You have to look at the present and actively search for what it still has to offer, not through comparison, but with openness. Maybe you don't have the same crowd around you anymore. Maybe your energy isn't what it was. But what small moments, what quiet spaces, what new relationships, what lessons are waiting for you if you let go of the anchor of the past? Let me be direct. As long as you keep feeding nostalgia like it's your only source of joy, you'll be stuck, frustrated, reliant on memories, and slowly losing both your self-respect and the respect of others. But if you choose, even for one day, to see the present without comparing it to the past, you'll realize that life is still offering you new paths. Not the same, not better or worse, just new. And that's real freedom. Understanding that the past is a teacher, not a prison, that memories can walk beside you, but they don't get to decide how you live. When you embrace that truth, nostalgia stops being poison and becomes fuel. But only if you have the courage to break that pattern and face the day ahead without the constant shadow of what used to be. That decision, uncomfortable as it may be, is the beginning of real peace. And trust me, there's no age limit on making it. All it takes is courage. Do you have it? We made it clear in the last chapter, living trapped in nostalgia is like trying to walk forward while constantly looking back, tripping again and again, never understanding why. But there's another trap, just as dangerous and even more subtle. One that hides behind seemingly responsible decisions, yet quietly becomes a cage. This brings us to the sixth point of this video, your relationship with money after 60, freedom, or prison. I want you to picture something. Imagine you've reached your 70s or 80s. You're financially stable, your basic needs are covered, your bills are in order. But every time the chance comes to spend on something that's not essential, you feel a weight in your chest. A quiet guilt. You think, what if I need it later? What if I get sick and run out? What if I end up depending on someone else? So you go on accumulating, saving, protecting, but at the cost of missing out on experiences, small pleasures, and opportunities to fully live. And what do you think is left at the end of that story? Not the money. What's left is lost time, missed chances. The bitter feeling of having gone through life with a clenched fist, clinging to something that, deep down, can't buy you peace or happiness. I'm not talking about reckless spending or ignoring your responsibilities. That would be foolish. I'm talking about how, for many, fear, disguised as caution, turns them into slaves of their own money. It's the scarcity mindset shaped by years and years of sacrifice, by a system that taught you how to work hard and save, but never taught you how to enjoy it without guilt. The problem is that over time, that fear hardens. It's no longer just about being careful with money. It becomes the belief that any expense is a threat, a danger to your safety. And without realizing it, you've handed your freedom over to a number in your bank account. No matter how much you have, it never feels like enough. So what happens? You become a prisoner of your own fears, a prisoner of the what-ifs, a prisoner of a life focused on preserving and accumulating, but not on living. And let me be brutally honest, if you don't break that pattern, it'll lead you to one of the most painful frustrations of all. Because the day will come when you realize you have money, but no meaningful memories. You have material security, but you're missing that deep, fulfilling sense of having truly lived. The solution? It's not about emptying your wallet on a whim. It's about shifting your mindset. It's about understanding, like Seneca said, that true wealth isn't about having more, it's about needing less. And if you have enough to meet your needs and a little extra to enjoy life, then what's holding you back isn't money, it's fear. Take a moment and ask yourself, what would I like to invest in? Not to impress anyone, not to meet others' expectations, but for me, a new experience, a course, a trip, something that awakens your spirit. Why keep putting it off? What's the point of reaching the end of your life with full pockets and an empty soul? The hard truth is that fear doesn't disappear on its own. You have to face it, call it by name, and decide you won't let it control you. Because if you don't, you'll end up enslaved by something that was meant to give you freedom. So look at yourself honestly. Are you using your money to live, or are you using it to lock yourself in? The answer will shape the rest of your days. If up to this point we've talked about how fear of spending, disguised as caution, keeps you trapped in a false sense of security, what comes next goes even deeper. Because now we're not just talking about money, nostalgia, or loneliness. We're talking about the root of it all, the way you relate to time, to life itself, and to your own mortality. We've reached the 7th point in this video, and it could only be this: the Stoic secret to living light and unafraid of the end. The truth is harsh, but I'll say it plainly. Every passing day is one less. It doesn't matter how much money you've saved, how many memories you've collected, or how many expectations you've fulfilled. Time moves forward, with or without your permission. And yet, most people live as if tomorrow is guaranteed, as if there will always be another chance to do what they want, to change, to let go of unnecessary burdens. You cling to trivial worries, old resentments, empty routines, as if you were immortal. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly: live as if you had already died, and every moment is a gift. What does that mean? It means that each day is an undeserved gift. It's not a right. Life doesn't owe it to you. It's a loan, and you decide how to use it, whether to waste it on complaints and excuses, or to honor it by living lightly, with purpose, and without fear of what's to come. There's no room here for self-deception. If you keep putting off the important decisions, believing the right moment will come later, let me warn you that later never arrives. Time will not wait for you. What you don't do today, you're unlikely to do tomorrow. And if you don't take responsibility for your life now, no one else will do it for you. Take an honest look at everything we've reflected on in this video. How many times have you given up before trying? How often have you surrendered to others' expectations, treated your body like an enemy, taken refuge in nostalgia, or let fear about money steal your freedom? Now tell me, what are you waiting for to change? Because the real obstacle isn't your age, or your situation, or the people around you. The only real obstacle is you. There are no magic formulas. There's only one way forward: total responsibility. Stop looking for someone to blame. Stop hiding behind your past. Stop living like your story is already written. As long as you're breathing, there is still something you can change. But you have to do it without excuses, without postponing, without lying to yourself. Want to live without fear of the end? Let go of the weight. Leave behind what no longer serves you. Free yourself from the burden of trying to please everyone, from attachment to what's already gone, from the need to control what hasn't even happened yet. Live light. Because when you truly understand that nothing belongs to you, not time, not people, not possessions, that's when you finally start to live. And it doesn't matter if you have 20 years left or only a few. The only thing that matters is how you choose to face each day you still have. That is the most stoic, the most courageous, and the most urgent decision you can make. And it's yours to make now, because no one else can do it for you. Or if you've made it this far, it's no accident. Not everyone is willing to look their life in the eye and accept that happiness or unhappiness after 60 isn't about fate or luck or other people. It comes down to one thing: a decision. The decision to let go of resignation, inherited fears, other people's expectations, and the old habits that keep you chained. The decision to release the nostalgia that keeps pulling you backward. To use your money, your time, and your energy on what actually makes you feel alive. No one else is going to make that decision for you. No one's going to save you from a comfortable but empty life, unless you decide to change course. And that's what sets apart the few who make it to the end of this video: the ability to face uncomfortable truths without making excuses, without playing the victim, with clear eyes and a strong will. I want you to confirm it. Drop the phrase, "I choose my life," in the comments, along with the country you're watching from. Not for me, but for you. So it's on record that today, here, you made a conscious choice. My name is Gabriel, and this space, the Stoic Garden, exists for one reason: to remind you that serenity, autonomy, and dignity aren't privileges of youth. They are choices you can make every single day, even if life has knocked you down, even if the years have passed. You won't find cheap comfort or empty words here. What you'll find is the raw truth, but also the path to walk lighter, freer, with more purpose. If this message resonated with you, hit subscribe now and be part of this community that's decided to stop sleepwalking through life, a community that refuses to give up, that wants to live what's left with strength and clarity. And share this video with someone you know needs to hear it, even if it stings. Because sometimes a single phrase can spark a change that never goes back. Don't stop here. This conversation is just beginning. On the screen, you'll see 2 more videos filled with reflections to help you keep shedding weight and taking real control of your life. Pick one, keep watching, and let every word push you one step closer to the life you deserve. I'll be right here, always with the truth in front.